Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. For my returning viewers, welcome back. Got the XJ in the garage. Today we're going to be going through the process of putting on some lower door armor on this thing. So as I'm sure you can tell, I got this black paint on the bottom side of the passenger door. I had a little bit of surface rust on this door, so I went ahead and sanded it, primed it, put some rust inhibitor paint on top of it. And I just want this to look a little more aesthetically pleasing, so in order to do that, I'm going to put the lower door armor on. It's going to protect the lower side of all these door panels, give it a little more protection, and hopefully get a little longer life out of these doors. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around. We're going to put on the Rough Country lower door armor today. So let's jump in and get started, guys. Okay, so starting at this passenger side door, we're going to do a little bit of prep before we put the panel up here. I'm going to put some painter's tape on this angled part of the door here, and that'll give us a surface to mark on. Also, we want to set it about a 1/4 inch in front of this gap between your front door and back door, so we'll be able to mark that 1/4 inch, line our panel up with it, and then mark our holes to drill out. So like I said, I'm going to put 4 or 5 inches of tape here across the back. I'm going to do the same thing on the front of the door. Okay, now from the back edge of the door, we'll measure a 1/4 inch. Now that we got our tape marked, this gives us a guide of where to set the armor, and then this tape will also give us a spot to mark for our holes once we put the armor up here. So now we'll stick the armor on here, mark out our holes. I got the back edge lined up with that 1/4 inch mark we just made, and I'm just pushing the corner of this armor into the corner of the door there. Get it set nice and firm on there. Then I'll trace out these holes onto the tape. Okay, now we'll drill those holes. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to hold the door armor on here. I got my knee up against it, keeping tension against the door. We'll drill this first hole out in the front. Now let's do the same to this hole in the back. Okay, now that we've got our holes drilled out, we're going to need to go a little bigger on these top ones to get our rib nuts in. So I'm going to take a 3/8 drill bit, make these holes oversized. Okay, now we'll put our rib nuts in. Okay, so we've got our hole drilled oversized here. We've got it wallered out. I've got a rib nut tool, so this is what I'm going to use. If you don't have this, you can use the bolt and included nut to set your rib nuts. So now we're just going to push this in until it's flat against the body. And then squeeze the handles together to set it. Unscrew the tool from the rib nut. There it is. Now let's put our back one in, and then we'll mock the panel up here so we can mark out our other holes to drill. Okay, I've got a couple of the included bolts here, a 4mm Allen socket. Now I'm just going to hold this panel up in place. Start these two bolts to hold this panel on. And we'll mark the rest of our holes. And once these are set where we want it, I'm just going to really push it into the door. Tighten these up a little bit. Okay, now we can mark and drill our other holes. Okay, in order to drill out these bottom ones, I'm going to open the door because they're going to go through the bottom of the door here. And I'm going to put a little C-clamp on the end here just to kind of clamp this real tight down to the door. Just closing up that gap. Okay, now with that gap closed up, I'm gonna keep the door open, start drilling these holes. Alright, I'm going to have you watch this last one from the inside so you can watch that drill bit come all the way through. Okay, now with all of our holes drilled, we're going to remove the armor so that we can drill these top two out bigger. to put our nut zerts in the top. So let's remove the 2 bolts we put in. Okay, we'll set the armor to the side. Now we're going to go back with our 3/8 bit and oversized drill these top 2. Okay, and now we can put nut zerts in these top holes. Okay, and now we can finally install this panel. I'm gonna hold it up just like we did before. Start our 2 outsides. I'm just snugging them up. I'm not going to put them too tight at the moment. Sometimes these like to give you trouble starting, so if you'll just turn left while you're pushing down, you'll hear that kind of little click. That's the threads of the bolt engaging the threads of the nut zert. And then you can start tightening it up then. So the nuts on this side, the bolts aren't long enough with the weather stripping there. So you have a couple options. We could remove the weather stripping. I'm going to try not to do that. We could maybe bend it up out of the way, sneak the nuts in behind it, and then start the bolts from the opposite side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a step bit and I'm going to try to drill this out so the nut will sit into this bracket on the weather stripping so that I can maintain the integrity of my weather stripping on the door. So let's give that a shot, see if we can get that to work. All right, that did the trick. Now we'll tighten these up. Okay, now I'll go down the line and do that to the rest of them. All right, now we got the bottom and top bolts all installed. That's what it looks like from the outside. Here's what my bottom bolts look like on the inside. Now we'll move on to the back door. Okay, so now we're moving on to the back door. Same thing as the front, a little bit of prep to start out with. Gonna put a little bit of painter's tape on the front of the door and the back. Okay, now that we got that tape on there, we're gonna measure from our opening back here. We're gonna measure 1/4 of an inch forward, and that's where we're gonna line up our first panel. So you can measure from any of these flat parts. If you want to put a piece of tape down here and use this section to measure your panel, you could. I'm gonna measure up here. So we're gonna use the small piece that we put the tape on. Measure our 1/4 inch. And I'm making the mark at kind of a slant to go parallel to our door opening. So like I said, if you wanted, you could put the tape down here, pull your tape measure across this, make your 1/4 of an inch mark. Just make sure it's about at the same angle as your door, and then we'll set the back of our armor there, mark out our holes. Okay, and then again for these top ones, we are going to start with our 1/4 inch drill bit. Punch a 1/4 inch hole through first. Then we'll remove our panel. Oversized drill the top ones to 3/8 to put our rib nuts in, nut zerts, whatever you want to call them. And then when we have those holding the panel on, we'll open the door, clamp it like we did before, drill our bottom ones. Okay, so same as before, I just opened the door. We're gonna put a small clamp right here in the middle of it to help hold this whole thing tight to the bottom. Now we'll drill our pilot holes, only using the 1/4" drill bit for these bottom ones. Now we're going to remove our clamp, remove the two holding this back door panel on. We'll oversize drill the middle one, put our rib nut in. Okay, now that our middle hole is drilled out, we got our rib nut in, we'll put our panel back up here and we'll put the 3 bolts that we have in. Okay, same process again on the bottom. Feed our nut through, bolt from the outside. And tighten it up. Alright guys, so here's the final product. Some people may like it, some people may not. That's okay. These things aren't for everybody, but hey, if you want to mod your vehicle, do what fits you and don't worry about what others think, right? So again, I did this as more of a cosmetic thing. I cleaned up that surface rust here, and then I just wanted everything to look uniform. So now that you've seen this side, the driver's side is the same exact process, all the same steps, but now I've taken you through the detailed process of getting these put on. So should be good. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want to see anything else on XJs, let me know. If you like this content, consider liking the video, consider giving us a subscribe and following us and seeing what other videos we put out. If you like XJ content, I'll link some stuff. If I can figure out how to link it on the screen right here, I'll link it or link it in the end somehow. To some of my other XJ videos that you might enjoy as well. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it very much. Hope you got something out of this, and we'll catch you on the next video.